Good evening, sir. Welcome on this talk show called. Just to tell you all, uh, sir is a motivational speaker of, the next level motivational speaker, जिसको बोलते हैं. If you Google about sir is a mountaineer, Mount Everest, 2004. Sir is a Marine Commando. Sir is a submariner. Sir had trained with US Navy SEALs, and sir has been commended or awarded with the Gallantry Award, uh, NM Gallantry, जिसको बोलते हैं, Nausena Medal Gallantry. A very, very rich experience, and currently, sir is doing wonderfully in corporate. So the first question, sir, because you are also a Rimkolian, sir, if I'm not wrong, if my knowledge do, and for all जो मुझे और सर को सुन रहे हैं, getting into being a Rimkolian, getting into Rashtriya Military College is not at all easy thing, because बहुत कम लोग select होते हैं, हर state से एक बच्चा select होता है, and sir is a Rimkolian. So you can imagine the plethora of things sir has, बहुत rare है. Only, perhaps the only naval officer in the world, that is what I came to know, who's a submariner, who's a Marcos, who's a skydiver, who's whatever and whatnot. So thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for a lot for the warm words, and Jai Hind to all the viewers. I hope I do justice to these talks.
In fact, sir, हम लोग where we stay, sir, it stays very close, only like 10-12 kilometers away. So that's how. So the first question, sir, जो भी फौज join करते हैं, some or the other inspiration, like I had some inspiration to join the armed forces. So maybe the family legacy or someone very close हुआ. So as Abhishek, not a commander or not anybody, as a young Abhishek, आपकी motivation क्या थी, sir, to join the armed forces?
Okay. First of all, I come from a total non-fauji background. There was nobody in the armed forces from my family. दूर तक भी कोई नहीं था. My father was in the government, and he had a friend whose son was in the army.
Okay.
So, and my father was posted in Calcutta, so now Kolkata. So he went to meet him, and then there's Fort William out there in Kolkata, the base. So he was very impressed with the place, and my father felt that I would be able to survive better in a fauji environment where it is very fair and very systematic. So he actually got motivated. He told, and this officer whom my father met, he was a Rimkolian. So he told my father about RIMC. And then my father came and told me that, there's some army school, where. So I was motivated as a 10-and-a-half-year-old child. I was, motivated. I'll have a gun in my hand. That's the time once we fire with, small, toy guns and aircrafts and things like that. So that's how he, father played an instrumental role, and that person whom he met. So I was a very average student. And in fact, I was studying in class 5th in Kolkata, and RMC was from 7th to 11th. But then it was an all India competition in which there was an age requirement. You should not be more than so-and-so age and less than so-and-so age. They didn't really have a requirement of having cleared 6th. So I had around 4 to 5 months of time to prepare for the exam. So my father also got me the best tuitions and things like that to catch up, because the syllabus was going to be of 6th standard. And I think that really motivated me, the uniform and, doing some warfare, getting to, shoot some weapons. So, I really put in my best, and I went for I appeared in the written exam, went to the interview. And yes, from every state, they take only one. So my domicile was from UP, Uttar Pradesh, although we were in West Bengal. So they have a exam in all the capitals generally of the states. So I got selected through from UP side, and I made it in first 4 in the merit also. That time there used to be 22 states. So there were only 22 students which were taken. That's how it happened. And you said it's more difficult to get into school. I never realized that till I tried to motivate my son to join RIMC, and then I thought, let me get him some coaching. So whomsoever I spoke to these coaching centers, they said science school, military school. I said RIMC, sir, वो तो बहुत मुश्किल है, बहुत मेहनत करना पड़ेगा. So after so many years, I felt, okay, maybe that time I didn't really value, because the things which you get, you don't tend to value them as much as, what you don't get. So yeah, it is pretty difficult to get through, and it's an amazing school. The kind of grooming it did. I was just 125, centimeters in height and 25 kgs in weight. And what do you call? Once, my parents took me for admission. So everybody is saying his elder brother is coming for admission. So they said, no, he's only getting admitted. He's got selected. So, and from there the journey started. So the school really groomed me very well.
So that is what RIMC is. जो भी सुन रहे हैं, आप लोग सुनते होंगे कि Rimkolian, lot of you are Rudrashis, Major Rudrashis is a Rimkolian again. So and फौज में जाते जाते, because I am from a private school, तो मैं वैसे नहीं हूँ, but I have seen that Rimkolian network, sir, in the forge, and you guys are amazing, sir. I mean, it's a heartfelt thing to tell, but you guys are amazing. जैसे आपने बोला, sir, when you were trying for your son, let me tell you, sir, it is tough. आप अलग मिट्टी के बने हो, बात अलग है, लेकिन it is tough to get in the RIMC. So
Yeah.
that sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a Class A military institution. It is at par with NDA and IMA and other naval academy run by the government of India. And it is, there is no reservation for any kind, all on merit. And if you come for an economically, weaker background, there is also what you call scholarships given by the state governments. So, everybody has an opportunity to go on it. It's not that, we think of hostels as very costly and things like that, but here, even for others, it is very subsidized. And if you belong to a very low strata, even the fees and everything, you get scholarships. But the kind of 360-degree grooming and opportunities you get, and very early in life, so it becomes easier to adapt. I'm not saying that those in armed forces who are not from RIMC are not amazing. They are amazing again. But yes, we get an advantage of getting groomed at an early stage in life.
Very true, sir. Very true. In fact, was that one of the stepping stone for you, sir, कि फौज ज्वाइन करना? I mean, was it very clear कि RIMC के बाद, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग उसके बाद ऑप्ट भी नहीं करते हैं, कुछ लोग गो फॉर अदर करियर, बट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ देम आई हैव सीन that's the stepping stone कि यहाँ से मैं यहाँ जाऊँ, एनडीए का एग्जाम.
Yeah, so the mandate of RIMC is as a feeder institution to NDA, National Defense Academy, or now Naval Academy. So that's how they, from a childhood, it's a public school syllabus, it's CBSC. So academically, you're doing that, but it does not guarantee you. You have to appear for NDA like any other student anywhere in the country. And so there is no preference to. And from my personal experience, I can tell you, I flunked NDA. I didn't get through. Okay, so probably I thought it, that took it for granted that it's going to happen. But then, yeah, I had to again, hone my skills and not take it casually, which I think probably I did. So one tends to lower the guard, if you think the obstacle is pretty easy or not so. So yes, the majority, in fact, in our times, all used to attempt for NDA, and most used to join. The results used to be very good. Even now, they are very good. But yes, now the avenues are opening. Correct. So people do have stepped out, and it's good because you get such trained people and such disciplined people in other services also. Like there are now, I know a number of Rimkolians who are IAS, IPS, who are in the corporate directly, who have gone abroad, who have become lecturers, and doctorates they have done. They are in universities. Although in RIMC, academics was, certainly not in the, it was slightly on the back burner because we had so many other activities to do. So, but then people have gone and excelled in all the fields.
Generally sir ऐसे होता है ना कि anyone the first choice is army. The first choice is army.
Yeah.
So what made you to choose navy, sir?
Well, I think I have, in Hindi, there is this word called kida. Say no, kida rehta hai. So I have this thing like, I don't like to do what everybody is doing. In fact, I tell my children also, they'll tell me everybody watches a mobile and everybody sleeps at 2 o'clock and everybody is a slightly obese. So I tell them, please don't be like everybody. What everybody is doing, don't do that. Okay, that's that. So yes, we used to wear the army olive greens. We used to wear the army uniform in RIMC. But I had this thing that no, I don't want to join the army. I want to join the navy because it was we were in the north. I belong to UP, so I had not seen the sea, and the uniform fascinated me, and the sea fascinated me. I remember as a child, I used to, uh, you play with toys and things like that. So I used to make a very small sort of with a bed sheet, make a small platform, and then in that I used to put my things, various things which I require, and spend 2-3 hours there. Only probably to realize later in life that probably that thing in my mind. That's why I opted for submarines. Submarine is something which is so small, and you really don't have much of comfort. Comfort is the last thing which you find on a submarine. So that's how I always thought in my life to do something different. So that got me into the navy.
Amazing, amazing, sir. So you are a NEC entry, sir, the naval. So जो भी again जो नहीं जानते NEC entry के बारे में, it's a naval engineering college which is in Lonavala, INS Shivaji, and various courses. So sir is fourth equivalent, right, sir?
Fifth course.
Fifth equivalent. Yeah.
Yes.
So sir is fifth course equivalent, and I am 11th equivalent. So sixth छह साल का जो ये है, that is 12 term का difference. So how's the journey there, sir? Because आपके immediate senior, junior, we know that I know few of them, sir. How was the journey that 4 years in Shivaji, sir?
Well, as I told you, from RIMC, I took it for granted that I would get into NDA, and I flunked NDA. And during the year when we attempted, it was the last year. NDA was happening after 11th. So from next year, it was going to be after 12th. So I went out. I went to a school called the Army Public School, Dholakua, and did my 12th there because RMC did not have a 12th. And my father told me that you drop a year because you're joining 12th late, because I was sure I would get into NDA, and it was after 11th, so I joined 12th a bit late. But I told him that let me try. If I don't get good marks, and then I would repeat the 12th. But then here again, my back was against the wall, and I really slogged that 8 months which I got before the boards, and I got selected. I got a good PCM marks, and then I came to know of this scheme called Naval Engineering course. So after my 12th, I somehow got very good marks, and my parents were very excited that ab to ye bacha engineer hi banega. So they told me start preparing for IIT. But my heart was into forge. So I came to know about the naval engineering course. I said, parents want me to be engineer and I want to join forge. So this is a good scheme. So I went for its SSB, and there was a merit list of 250 people that time who qualified for 72 vacancies. So luckily I fared well, and I was again in first 5 in that. So that's how I joined NEC, and there was nobody in NEC from RIMC. I was the first one who joined. Of course, the people who were there are seniors. They knew about RIMC, how was it. So they really expected much more from me than others. So I can say that I got more ragda than the rest, because they knew, they were like, saying, okay, how much this guy can take it. And they knew that this guy is not going to put up to anyone, officially for ragging or for any issues. But of course, in armed forces, the the term ragging is incorrect to use, because yes, you get punished, you get things, but those are all to toughen you up, to get you physically strong and mentally awake, and of course morally straight. That's what we say in the armed forces. So yes, I got more Raghda, but I had a much better playing field than the rest, because they had all come after 12th and without much of any idea what is Fauj about.
True, sir. True.
And being in Lonavala, we really were with the nature. And 4 months, people think of Lonavala as a tourist destination. It is, but then not for training, because your clothes don't dry, and it's a very difficult task. So there were times once we had to wear a wet clothes and they used to dry on us because of our body heat. So it was tough times, but it was wonderful. We got to go to Duke's Nose, and so many treks we did all over Maharashtra. Uh, very fond memories of naval engineering course. Of course, there were 25 courses, and actually the cream came into these courses because they were based on PCM, and they were assuring in engineering. So people were very excited that even the parents were excited that you're getting an engineering on government expense. So very good people joined it.
True, sir. I mean, yes, knowing about Shivaji has a beautiful memory, sir. कपड़े तो कभी सूखते नहीं थे. And then, so I'm from the electrical courses. So my most of the time was in Valsura, Jamnagar, but we had few courses in Shivaji. So that's how. And the first thing people used to tell even my course mates कि यहाँ कपड़े सूखते नहीं है करके, बाकी सब ठीक है. So Shivaji is beautiful, sir. Even today, very glad. Had been very recently there. Nice base, still that essence of what you all have left, sir, those days. And I was very privileged to serve with Rohit Jetro, sir, your one course senior. And sir is an amazing person.
Yes.
Was very close. He was my boss and things like that. So the why did this thought of submarine came, sir? वो जो तभी वो थॉट था क्या सर व्हेन यू यूज्ड टू प्ले एंड वो जो आपने बोला था चादर बना के तभी तो कोई इनक्लिंग होगी नहीं ना
नहीं
सर.
नहीं, उस समय तो ये भी नहीं पता था कि समुंदर क्या होता है. ठीक है, सबमरीन और शिप तो बहुत, और नेवी तो बहुत दूर की बात थी. So like we were in what you call INS Shivaji, and we got commissioned, and I was doing my marine engineering specialization course. So at that time we got a signal from the naval headquarters to volunteer for Marcos and submarines both, because these are special. You have to volunteer. No one can force you to become. So I opted for Marcos, and so then we had our selection process and medical and everything, and ultimately I got selected to go for the course. So so I'll take on Marcos first, because
sir, submarine
after
का
Marcos the submarines happened.
submarines.
Yeah.
So Marcos, so guys, जो भी सुन रहे हैं, as you all know, Marine Commandos is one of the toughest courses, the probation and things. So, so sir had opted for Marcos, and probably आप तभी first technical officer थे, sir?
No, I was not the first. I was from the second batch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commander Dedge, Girish Dedge, he was the first technical officer
Girish
to
sir was
become.
the first one, sir. So how's the journey, sir? Again, sorry to cut you in between. So all
Yeah,
yours.
being a technical officer, the arm submarine, the Marcos arm was also not very clear whether will these people be able to fit in, and we were going for a deputation of 3 years. So there was, an apprehension in the minds of the people. But Marcos course is one in which officers and sailors we train together, unlike other courses. So we started as 3 officers and 22 men, and the course began in INS Abhimanyu that time. So it's a very tough course. There's no doubt, because you are required to perform on land, you're required to perform in water, in sea, and of course later on you go on to do your paras and other jumps and all the weapons, and you have to live off the land, jungle warfare, snake catching, all sorts of things, unarmed combat. So it's a very tough course, unless you are motivated enough, and you are what do you call able to there are 2-3 parts. One is that you are physically fit, that you are able to do it, and you actually, once you go there, you realize that you are not actually physically fit, because they make you they really train you. There's a whole training team and whole equipment and simulators for training. And being a commando is not only physical, it is also mental and your intelligence, because your roles are such that you're going to be there behind the enemy lines. You're not going to have any support, no local support, and you are really going to be in a hardship. You don't know, your missions are only known one way. Like as the name suggests, Abhimanyu, ये चक्रव्यूह में जाने का पता है, बाहर वापस का पता नहीं है. So that's how we got our name also of the base. So it's a rigorous 6 months course, and there are times when you feel that you can't do anymore. And one thing unique about this course is they don't throw anybody out of the course. They don't come and tell you that you're not meeting the grades or something like that. They don't. They leave it totally to you till you finish your 6 months. But I told you we started three officers and 22 men. So I don't know. Bijay, are you aware how many of us actually cleared the course after 6 months?
Not well, but I'm sure कि numbers would be hardly, sir. Hardly, वो मुझे पता है.
So ultimately, only in officers, me and 3 more sailors, only 4 of us cleared the course.
Oh.
And I don't say that I'm the best or I was great in every field. I improved. Water was something, sea was something which I was not very confident about swimming, but I did gain because our trainers, whom we used to call ustads, so they if you are really showing willingness to learn, they were there to like breathing is the main thing in swimming. So I used to swim or wear sheer force with my face out. So they actually taught me how to breathe, and then I could cross that obstacle. But yes, the spirit which takes you through a commando course is never give up. You may have your bad days, good days, but you should not give up. I'm not going to go and ring that bell and announce that I can't do it anymore. So that's the spirit which took me across, and that's true in life also. We'll come across failures, we'll come across successes. Sometimes our failures would be unjustified, that I did everything for it, it didn't happen. And many a times, even your successes, you can silently feel in your heart that it was unjustified. I put in this much effort, but I got more. So it all balances out. So you got to keep your mind more positive and have that spirit of never give up. So that's how was the commando course. It's really develops you have that confidence. Now I can do anything in life. And then of course our flag and our country is there as a motivation that we got to eliminate the enemies of a country.
So this the Marine Commandos, the Garuds, and this are very favorite topics of all these youngsters, youth. So I would put one more question here. What was the most memorable time, sir? Some punishment, something, some probation में कुछ होता है ना सर, एकदम बिखर के गिर जाना, वो गाना जैसे ना, बिखरने का शौक है मुझे टाइप्स. So uh, some incident or something which you remember and is very dear to you, sir.
During the commando times?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, commando times, there were many, but one is that, yes, we went for operations to Kashmir as a part of Op Rakshak, counter-insurgency operations. So basically, earlier the army used to handle the whole thing. But there are a lot of water bodies in Kashmir, the Wooler Lake, the Dal Lake. So it was noticed that these terrorists, once they got surrounded by the army, they used to escape via the water bodies. So a need was felt that Marcos should be there. So Prahars of Marcos used to be deployed there at various locations for a duration of about 6 months by rotation. So even I volunteered for the same, and I went there. My leader was that time Lieutenant Commander Tilak Raj Thakur, and I was the 2IC. And you have to get acquainted with the place, acclimatize with the weather, and we used to be on a lookout every night, going on patrols, setting up ambushes, trying to get leads to eliminate these people, because it was known that terrorists are present in certain areas and they're trying to create chaos. So the most memorable part may sound a bit gross, but was that we operated in an area called Gandharbal area, and we eliminated one one Hizbul Mujahideen area commander terrorist in an operation which lasted for over 12 hours. And There were actually two people. One was a Pakistani, and one was this guy was a Kashmiri. That guy was also severely injured, but he escaped. But that full night, you are. It's like trying to look for a needle in a haystack, blindfolded. You don't know where it is. So only once it pricks you, you come to know. Okay, that person is there. Most what do you call satisfying was to eliminate this guy who was a real threat to our country.
Amazing, amazing, sir. Amazing. And then, sir, what is that feeling of wearing that black, sir? So those days it used to be that black dadi wala. And since मैं तो बहुत करीब से देखा हूँ, so just to know from you, sir, being having worn that, how was that feeling जब वो काला कपड़ा पहनते थे, sir?
Yeah, in Kashmir, we were known as Dadi Wali Fauj.
दाढ़ी वाली फौज.
Yeah, because in army does not allow to have a beard, but Navy does allow. And then, of course, all the operations which Marcos did, the advantage with Marcos is that we operate in very small teams. It's called Prahar. The team could be of just 8 people or even as down to 5. So no one comes to know that you are in the area. So even once these terrorists have the local informers who tell about the army and the security forces movement, they could never track our Marcos Prahars. So they were very scared, and there were so many good operations which we conducted. Yes, wearing that black and the camouflage in the Navy, that was something really great, which I say that I joined the Navy, but I also had the perks of enjoying the army
Army.
and getting to fire with AK-47s and rocket launchers and grenades. So I'm very grateful to Navy that I got an opportunity to serve in Marcos. I got to do para jumps. I got to do water para jumps. That is, landing at sea, which very few countries have it, which is what we did with the US Navy SEALs, and scuba diving. So, things which we do for adventure in life or want to do, here it was part of my duty. And the Navy made me do. And I could pay it back in terms of, securing our people and, eliminating our enemies. So that feeling is certainly great. And now, of course, there is a red beret for the Marcos, and there is a badge too. During our time, it was a very secret force. So, generally no one knew about it. We never wore any badges, but yes, now it's a very more potent and more known force.
How was that US Navy SEAL के साथ का experience, sir? I mean, if you can just put in.
Yeah, US Navy SEALs, they're very well trained, very disciplined people. And it was good because they had very good SOPs, and they did whatever job they were mandated to do, they did it very scrupulously. They were pretty fit, and they had a lot of what you call pride in themselves, and they also undergo a very, very tough program like ours, which we undergo. But certain things which we did notice marked difference between the SEALs and our people, that our people may not do their own job that properly, but we can do others' job much more properly. And it has both the positive and the negative. But our people, our special forces people, the IQ level was phenomenally high. There was a class in which they said they were conducting a few classes for us. A very difficult topic is coming up and things like that, which was, as simple as, speed is equal to distance upon time. That formula in 3 forms, was being taught. So it was very evident that our people had a much higher IQ. They had to survive on Bisleri water, but we could drink water from anywhere. We could survive off the land much more easily. And so their immunity was not that great. And they find it very difficult to deviate from SOPs. Whereas our people are much more resourceful, more dynamic. On the spot, our people can act, and take actions. So it was good to learn from them, because that time they knew the water para jumps. So we learned water para jumps from them. We learned explosive ordnance disposal, some part of it from them. So again, SEALs, of course, very tough course, very great people, but this is a remarkable difference between them and us.
Amazing, sir. I mean, on behalf of everyone, a formal thank you to you for serving in the special forces, definitely, sir. And as a technical officer, it is very difficult to, get into that. And probably, with your zeal and things, you could, sir. How was आप सभी के जानकारी के लिए, as a technical officer, we serve for 3 years in the Marine Commandos. I think even today, sir, आज भी वही norm है, if I'm not wrong.
Generally, that's the norm. Yes.
Norm, yes, sir. Because the last technical officer I saw was Vinay, sir. So since I know he, even उसके बाद भी you can't even keep the beret, if I'm not wrong. You can't wear the beret once you come out of the forces, special forces. So yes, sir. So that was that part of amazing part of being in the Marine Commando. Now, then how when you came back to the arms, sir, then you opted for submarines, yeah?
Yeah,
Again,
so 3 years were getting over and I had to get back to my primary, being an engineer, mechanical engineer. And that time I came to know that there were a lot of vacancies in the submarine arm. We had an ambitious program of getting new submarines, getting nuclear submarines. So there were a lot of vacancies because people had to be trained for that. So what do you call, the upper age limit was 28 for volunteering for the submarine arm. And I was still 27 and a half. So I thought if I have to go back, let me try for the submarine arm. And because of God's grace and somehow I got a call and I could join the course. Of course, with me were all my 3 years juniors who were primarily taken. And so I again got from what you said, the black overalls and the camouflage and the red beret back to black shoes, as we say in the Navy. The under trainees wear the black shoes. But then I never got felt bad or something, because there was something I decided that I'm going to be training for the submarine arm. So like I had my people, and so the people who are instructors and all, some of them were even junior to me. But then yes, I took a call that I want to join the submarine arm, and the Navy gave me an opportunity. So that's how I stepped back. And yeah, it's 6 months of training at INS Satavahana in Vizag. We go for that. There is an ETS course there in which you have to escape from a torpedo from the tower, which is a must to become a submariner. Well, if you can't do that course, you are not you can't go further. And that is like a scuba diving. You wear a mask. It's very claustrophobic. It's a Russian system in which it's a dry suit and only opening is through your mouth, and you have 2 holes of glass through which you can see. And you wear the air cylinders for breathing, and then you have to enter a torpedo tube, and you have to crawl and enter it. So, and you suddenly realize that you can't do anything. You can't even come out if something goes wrong. So I was, of course, I was a diver, and in spite of that, I had some anxiety. So I used to wonder for those people who are coming directly for this course. It again comes to mind that you have to not panic. If you panic, you are gone. You have to just wait, relax. Then nothing is going to go wrong. Get that affirmation in yourself that okay, I will do it. I'll cross it. Of course, the Navy trains us to do it, but still, it's a litmus test to become a submariner. So that phase of clearing this, escaping from torpedo tube, coming at the conning tower, so that is very important. And of course, then comes academics, because submarines are very complex, and the reaction time is very less. And you can't say that I am a mechanical engineer, so I'll only look after mechanical thing, or I'm an electrical engineer, I'll only look after, or I'm a seaman, or I'm from navigation, I will only do my job. Everybody is taught everybody's job, but you specialize in your own field. So in terms of when there is a need for reaction time, there's a need of emergency, fire or flooding, you know what actions to take, because reaction times are very less. If you have flooding, your submarine will just go down. It's very difficult to get it back. If you have a fire inside, then the smoke will engulf the whole place. It's not that you can open the door and window and run out of your building. So what do you call, everybody is trained, and on board also we are trained for 6 months. You do your watchkeeping, and then you you get to wear that badge of the dolphin badge.
So I was asking that for that the torpedo tube, sir. How lengthwise? How?
It is 9 meters long.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's 9 meters long, and the what you call the circumference is hardly a bit more than your shoulders, and there is a front hatch and there is a back hatch. So the front hatch is closed. We have to crawl. Three people go into the torpedo tube at one time. First person goes, then the second, and then the third, and then they shut the back. What do you call back hatch? Then they start filling it up with water.
oh, oh.
And to reach your place, you by crawling you tend to what do you call get breathless, and then you feel you're not getting enough air, and you can't move much. You're very stuck up inside. So that's the time you have to relax. In fact, once the water comes in, you feel a bit, buoyancy comes in and you feel a bit better. But then, of course, once you see the water going above your eye level, you feel that you're going to drown. And once they fill it up, then it is pressurized, because
Oh,
if there's a case of submarine sinking, there's going to be the sea above you. So then it is pressurized with air. So you have to ensure that your eardrums don't get damaged. So you have to swallow and do the techniques to balance the air. And after that, once you have gone up to that pressure, then they open the front hatch, and then you move out from the front. So that is like you swim out. So that's a good moment, because okay, the ordeal is over, and now you're going out, and you're going to just go up by gravity, by buoyancy. So but it's a real scary thing.
so but then as you already said, being from the special forces, being from a being a diver, uh, still you had some panic thing or some anxiety compared to the others, or how was it, sir?
No, I did have anxiety, and I feel that in life, even if you've done a thing 100 times, just have that certain anxiety in yourself that ensures that you are alert and your senses are alert. So what do you call it is a person, they say that a person who knows what he knows, what is fear and what can go wrong, the repercussions. A person who doesn't know anything, a child is never scared, a child doesn't know what can go wrong. But
Exactly.
being from special forces, you have done it. You have seen people having accidents, you have seen people in operations, what is happening, having your own casualties, or having people, your own people, being shot at. So uh, you tend to be you tend to have an anxiety that what can go wrong, and how do I eliminate that, or how do I handle, okay, if this goes wrong, what to do next. So yes, even for this torpedo tube thing, I knew that by chance the water starts leaking in, after all, it is screwed with a system, so the water is not supposed to come in, but there can be a chance that water can start coming in, or in your whole suit there might be a hole which comes in, or while you're crawling, it scratches off, although of course it's made of great material. So all these things are there running in your mind. But yes, as they say na, कि डर के आगे जीत है.
Sir,
So
kya
you got to keep your mind positive. Be ready for what could go wrong in life. Be ready for failures, uh, but keep striving. Don't give up thinking कि अरे ये इतना dangerous है, इतना ये है.
So how was your time as a submariner, sir, in your tenure of various appointments? Uh,
Oh, yeah, submarine is a different world altogether. There's no sunrise, there's no sunset. You are in a metal box. For the viewers, there is no bathing, there is no shaving. So all what your mom taught you, be a good boy. So here legally you're not required to do all that. Uh, and it's the only service in the world where you get a brand new pair of clothes to wear every fourth day. The other side is that you have to wear that set of clothes 24/7 for 4 days in very stringent conditions in a submarine. So uh, it's a tough life. It's round the clock. It's not a 9 to 5 job. In fact, Navy is not a 9 to 5 job unless you have posted in a base. There also you could be asked to come anytime.
True,
So
sir.
on ships, on submarines, in air squadrons, in Marcos, everywhere, we have a full 24 hours watch system. Reason being, you have to have the vigil 24 hours to say to look after a country. And if you are at sea, the systems have to run. A ship or a submarine is like a city. You have to provide electricity, you have to provide water, you have to ensure good living conditions for people, you have to have the air conditioning running, the refrigeration running, all the pumps, seawater pumps. So these are basics. And then for your war role, you have to have your sonars, your radars, you have to monitor, you have to spy over your enemies, and you have to be ready that you don't get spied upon. So it's we do watches. So on ships we do 4 hours watches, 4 hours on, 8 hours off, which is actually not an off. And that's the watch routine. On submarines we do 3 hours watch system, because here the alertness level is required to be more. So we have a 3 hours and 6 hours off system. And our biggest enemy is the sea, and that is true for ships as well as submarines, because sea is so violent. You can't go against the nature. The sea is very salty, so it eats up your systems, your metallurgy, and in a submarine you are underwater, so you are under pressure too. Your pipelines and others, your pumps have to run against the sea pressure. So, and we don't have the luxury of like brand new Mercedes. We have submarines which are 15 years, 20 years, 25 years old running, and many of them whose life, if the developed countries, they would have got rid of. But yeah, we conserve our resources. We ensure that there's minimum financial burden to the country, and we are really running old submarines and ships. So your biggest enemy is the sea. You have to be alert for any fire, flooding, and living conditions are tough. But yeah, we in the armed forces work as a team, actual team, as a family. So that's what we ensure that we are motivating each other and doing things. So our camaraderie is what motivates us and keeps us going and performing tasks in these stringent conditions.
Very true, sir. Very true. In fact, for the audience who will listen later, submarine mein there is that traditional ceremony, na sir? If you can
Yeah.
just touch on that, sir.
Okay, so once as trainees, after doing a course, we join a submarine, and submarines generally, you will rarely find a submarine on surface. They are underwater, and even for charging their batteries and running the diesel engines, they come 9 meters below water, and then there is the periscope and the snot mask to take in air. So it's never because what you call being discreet is the most important thing. You should not be visible to the enemy. No one should be able to spot you. So we dive very deep uh, as per operational requirements, as per our mission. So the deepest depth which we go to, that's the place where all the new trainees are supposed to be sort of introduced, or as they say, baptized. So what we do is, once we go down there, we settle there, and then we take the seawater from that depth, and we take it through a pipeline, and then fill it in some glasses, and then everybody has to finish that whole glass in one go, and you drink it. And that's the time you come to know that the seawater is so salty, and so chilled too, 100 meters, 200 meters, 250 meters below the surface, where there is no sunlight ever reaching. So that's a ceremony in which we say that, chalo, now you've become a true submariner.
To submarine. So between all this, sir, 2004 May, how did that Mount Everest thing happen, sir?
Okay. I've really been blessed because, yeah, so I was on board Russian submarines for 5 years. And post that, I was to go for a shore appointment. So I was posted in Delhi. No, in fact, no, I was not exactly that. My submarine was going to enter repairs. We have our short refit, normal refits, major refits. You have a cycle, because as I told you that sea is very corrosive, and all the machinery needs to be again maintained, and spares and all new bushings and other things have to be put. So there's a cycle in which for 3 months or for 8 months or for a year, the submarine is laid off. So this, I came to know about that Navy was planning an Everest expedition. For that, they were asking for volunteers, and also they were sending people for the mountaineering courses in the country where they have, so that that guy can get uh, to know what is exactly mountaineering. So there was a signal for HMI Darjeeling that people could volunteer. So I went to my commanding. I was the head of engineering department. So I myself couldn't leave the submarine and go. So I went to my commanding officer, Commander Pathak, Alok Pathak. Now he's no more. So he said, "How can you go? The submarine is we are due to go for these missions." I said, "Sir, the course will only come after so and so month. By the time we would have entered the normal refit. So that's the time the senior engineer can take place can also take charge." So he agreed. By time and space, I was lucky that my commanding officer agreed, and I didn't feel guilty of leaving an operational submarine behind. So that's how I went for the HMI Darjeeling course. And of course, I was again tense because, yeah, my course was done, but being 5 years on board submarines, it becomes a very sedentary lifestyle where you don't sleep properly. I said you can't take bath. So exercising and all also becomes an issue. Only once you are in harbor, you could probably exercise. At sea, you have less time, and plus the conditions are also not conducive. So I was very apprehensive about my physical condition. But somehow, वो बचपन से जो RIMC and then NEC and then Marcos, that was still there. So I could do well in the basic mountaineering course in HMS Darjeeling. I got the best student for the course, and immediately I was picked up by the mountaineering team to go for Mount Comet expedition. So it was actually the vision of the Chief of Naval Staff that time, Admiral Madhavendra Singh, who, after taking over as the Chief of Naval Staff, he had a long list of things he wanted to do. So he led that vision. It was his vision that he wanted that the naval ensign and the national flag should be taken on top of the world by naval personnel. That's how this whole Everest thing started. And towards that, volunteers were asked, and by time and space, I could also do. So I went for Mount Comet. I came back, but I suffered from frostbite in my little finger, which is, still, it had to be amputated because on the tip, I had got frostbite. After that, I was very demoralized because I thought mountaineering is going to stop. I was made down category, medical category. And if you're down the medical category, you can't go for any mountaineering, expeditions. But my leader had faith in me, and I went for another expedition to Sasur Kangri in the Nubra Valley, which I went as just a team member, not a climbing member. And we did a few more courses. Our team went to Siachen for training there, came back, winter training there, and then ultimately the Everest team was selected. By that time, luckily 6 months has passed, and I got back to S1 A1 category, and that's how the Everest thing came about.
So in short, how was that experience of being on top, sir?
Oh, that was a very long experience because it is against you're going against the nature. So once you're climbing, you take 10 steps and you have to count 1, 2, 3. If you don't count, you will stop after 3 or 4 steps because you are always panting as if you have run a 100 meters dash. If you tell me in a short, so it was a very difficult experience. There again, you have to be physically fit, but your body can't take you there till the time your mind doesn't really set it. It's your mind which is fighting and pushing the limits of your body. And it is -20, -30, wind chill effect, and you're sweating inside. And if you see a climber at those heights, 8,000 plus, it's called the dead zone, where even if you rest, your body is only depleting because there's not enough oxygen there. So you tend to hallucinate at that times, and you don't know what is happening. So it is just that your mind is taking you. just taking, just we got to do it. There's no other way. We climbed from the northeast ridge side, which is the more difficult route from Tibet side than from the Nepal side. Nepal side is also very difficult, but yeah, this was something our leader decided that if we have to do, we have to do it the more difficult way. Uh, there were times when I felt that nothing's going to happen. My fingers again, they were freezing, because once you get chilblains and frostbite, there's a very great chance of reoccurrence. So grateful to Bhagwan, the god of mountains, Lord Shiva, and Indradev also for ensuring weather was good. That I always say that Everest let me climb, not that I climbed Everest, and that's a fact. Anything could have gone wrong. In that year, 5 people from other teams died while trying to summit from the Tibet side. So,
true, sir. Mount Everest, since I've got few Everester friends. I mean, when I hear their story, uh, a couple of years back, sir, 2019, we lost a very close friend. Her name was Anjali Kulkarni, ma'am. I mean, yahi pe thane ki hai, sir.
okay.
A very close this thing. So they, I mean, experienced mountaineers. They had summited various mountains, but then unfortunately, Everest pe same thing, sir. Oxygen ka abhav se she passed away. So that way. एंड जब वो सुनते हैं ना वहाँ की स्टोरी, तो बहुत एक वो होता है कि वंस यू आर डेड देयर, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू गेट यू बैक, piles of so very scary. So amazing, sir, amazing. Jo journey, and for that you were decorated with NM gallantry, sir, for
Yeah.
that particular this
Yes.
thing. So amazing, sir, the journey. And then the last few questions, sir. And then how was the feeling of the same feeling? I'm sure we all go through that same feeling. How is the feeling of parting with the uniform, sir? I know we won't part with the service, but it is always that nostalgic thing. So how was that feeling, sir? Finally, after so many years of soldiering. So how was that, sir?
Yeah, it was difficult, but yes, I had taken a conscious call that I want to go and explore more. I was totally indebted to the armed forces. I wore uniform at the age of 10 and a half. So first the olive greens for 5 years in RIMC, and then the naval uniform. And of course in the Navy also the Marcos black and camouflage. It was like in my blood, armed forces. Uh, there was a lot of uneasy feeling. I used to feel कि मेरा heart beat थोड़ा बढ़ गया है, कुछ हो रहा है. There's no doubt. Once I took this decision of moving ahead, stepping into the civil world, there was a lot of anxiety. But that was a conscious call which I took. Uh, the kind of experience I got in the armed forces, I don't think I could have even dreamt of getting that much. So I had I didn't leave the Navy with any negativity or bitterness or not. It was just a thing, as I told you, that I like to do something new, something different. So I thought, let me explore the civilian world. Originally I decided that I would like to get into the same field of mountaineering, outbound things, get into corporate training, leadership sort of a thing. So that I did for around 8 months. But then I got a call one day that there is a job opportunity in which you are required to travel, and it is outbound. So I thought, wow, this is what I was looking for. But as destiny would have it, once I went for the interview, I came to know that it was a tunneling company, which were into tunneling underground. So again, I found it very, very challenging and something which I had never thought of. So, okay, we were on board a submarine. So here they were tunnel boring machines, and they were much less complex than a submarine. And even the danger risk was much less. So in fact, I used to tell my, the owners of the company that, now my job is like 10% of what I was doing in the Navy, because there it was much, much complex and much risky. So I say that, from underwater, I moved to underground. And I hope not. The next step is going to be underworld.
Amazing, sir. Amazing. And for the viewers, sir is also an alumni of IIM Indore. Sir has done, and also sir has done the Defense Staff Service College, which is a very prestigious thing. So lot many things, lot many things. And sir currently is for the Navy Foundation chapter. Sir is part of, he's part of that management team who looks after the Thane region. And sir is an amazing individual. Trust me, people whoever is listening to us. So thank you for your time, sir.